All right, hey everyone. This is Gabe Stefan with Astro Talk. This video is going to be for a 2020 forecast for Gemini Suns and Gemini Risings. Okay, so let's talk Geminis, because you love to talk, don't you? I hope so. Let's talk about some themes that's going to be happening this year for you. And let me say something. I looked at this chart for Geminis, or just looking at the whole sign thing, or for anyone who's a Gemini Sun or Gemini Rising, that 8th house is lit. Let me tell you, that 8th house, ooh, is going to be a main focus. So 8th house represents shared income or shared resources, anything receiving money-wise too. Definitely could be, who knows, you may receive an inheritance this year. This might be that year for you. Yeah, I mean, you might receive an inheritance. You might, this might be a very sexually active year, because 8th house represents sex. But you might be going through some type of transformation too. There might be something dying that's been part of your life. You may experience something like that. Yeah, you might be experiencing something where something may die out and then you're rebirthing something new. The 8th house definitely represents that, and your 8th house is lit. And then Jupiter's going to be there all year for the most part. Or, yeah, it will be there for all year. Saturn would be there for majority of the year. Pluto's been there for years, so it's constantly transforming that area of life for you. Definitely ending some things forcefully, but then now things are being restructured since Saturn's there now. And Saturn's the ruler planet of your 8th house for most of you. And yeah, it's definitely some deep changes happening in that area of life. Special. And then once Mars gets in there, February, March, yeah, you're going to have some laser focus when it comes to anything that involves anything hidden, taboo, transformational. That might be a peak period of anything intense happening to you around that time. Not saying that it will happen to you, but there'll be a lot, or it could be you're receiving a lot of money at that time. Who knows? This year's going to be an interesting year for you in that sense. But yeah, those of you who are sexually active, please, you will have probably some interesting sexual encounters this year. I'm just saying, if you're single or you're always ready to mingle, whether you're in a relationship or not. Sorry. I like some kombucha. I'm on a fast, by the way, so I'm in day 2. So, just pretty much just draining everything out. That's pretty transformational, right? Okay, let's continue. Okay, so Mercury retrogrades. Okay, so since Gemini, your ruling planet is Mercury. Your soul is ruled by Mercury for those who are Sun in Geminis. These Mercury retrogrades, okay, you will feel it. You'll feel some of it in your career area. And with foreign travels, I wouldn't recommend too much foreign travel between February and March. I wouldn't recommend too much of that. Because you'll definitely experience some delays or roadblocks, or you know the typical foreign travel stuff that might back you up, or you'll definitely have to be flexible with your schedule around that time. But career-wise will be affected too. So just to let you know. Um, and then in the summer, you'll definitely be affected by in your second house when it comes to finances. So anything income-wise that you create, there might be some delays, there might be some blockages around that time. Just be wary about your investments too around that time. And then the last one would be in October, November. No, just October because I think no October, November because the retrograde ends I think on the 3rd or something like that of November. That third one will be involving your daily work, your routine. You might have to slow down a bit around that time. It will definitely go into your fifth house too, depending for some of you. So like hobbies, interests, if you have kids, there might be miscommunication with kids or things like that. Or, you'll experience some communication barriers around that time with your work and stuff like that. So just to put that out there. It's not the worst retrograde, but just to put that out there. Okay, so Venus retrograde. I want to get to that. Yeah, Venus retrograde in your first house. So, depending on where your sun is or where your ascendant is too, your rising sign point, you could be affected by this Venus retrograde. This is not a bad Venus retrograde by all means necessary. But I do want to point out that you'll definitely see some revamping of nutrients with yourself. You will definitely feel a little bit more revitalized energy-wise. I actually think this is Venus retrograde is a positive thing for you. I think this is a thing you've been waiting for the past 8 years because the last one happened 8 years ago in Gemini. So I think this would definitely be, like, think about the last time back in May 2012. Think back to that cycle of what happened. Those things would be revisited again in some sense with yourself. So think about that, especially for those who have it's pretty much in the mid chunk of Gemini. So you will be affected by this retrograde for sure. There's another thing that's going to be, it's been affecting some of you already, or you've already experienced, some of you Geminis who've been, I would say this is going to affect, let's just summarize it. Anyone who's born, I would say between June 3rd, 4th, through the, I would say 10th, around that time, yeah. I would say especially more towards the later, like what I was just saying, like June 8th, June 9th, June 10th, you will be highly affected by Neptune this year. And Neptune's your career planet. You might not see things clearly still around this time. Those of you Geminis who are in the early parts, you are very experienced. This really does not pertain to you too much. But those who have not experienced this yet, Neptune will be creating distortions about where you want to go in life, especially with long-term commitments, with your goals, with your career, anything that involves that. Neptune has been in that area of life. You've been affected by that for the past years. Neptune's a slow-moving planet, so this is something you will definitely feel for a while. It's not something that's going to be like, oh, just for, like 3 weeks. No, this is something you will feel for a good couple years. So knowing that, I would suggest just be very cognitive. Don't be in your head too much, because y'all Geminis love to be in your head. Don't be in your head. Let the higher conscious speak to you. Learn to go with the flow instead of always being, detail. I need all these small details. Da, 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 da. Learn to go with the flow. especially when it comes to your career. Let the spirits talk to you. Let the universe talk to you. Neptune is very universal. Just let that happen. Let the ego go for a second. Get out of your mind. Then you'll be able to see where to go with your career, and then magic can happen eventually. But just don't get too into your head. That's going to create delusions. It's going to create a lot of delusions. So, just to let you know. Okay, so we went over that. Oh, and one other thing I do want to point out, you will definitely have the luck of the North Node switching into Gemini from Cancer coming in May. So you'll definitely see some changes in challenges and growth when it comes to yourself too as well. So anything that aims towards yourself and self-love, and anything that involves with keeping your health good, especially your energy, stuff like that, and going after what you want, this is a good time for that. Okay, one of the last things I do want to point out, or two last things real quick. Mars retrograde in the fall, it won't be affecting you too much, to be honest, but I would say this. Any disputes with your friends, let it be. This might be a time where you'd be cutting out friends, to be honest, too. This might be a time where you're cutting out people who you're associated with, especially if they're not in the same wavelength as you, especially if they don't have the same goal in mind, the same intellect as you. You know, you might be getting into disputes with people that are different to you and who think differently than you. So be very careful with that. Don't get too volatile with fights with your friends, because you may lose that battle. And the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction towards the end of the year, it might be a favorable time for you, especially when it comes to any adventures that you have coming up, anything that you want to expand your horizons on. You'll definitely see some benefits coming out of that, especially going into 2021. It would be a very favorable time for you. So I actually like that when those two enter your ninth house, Jupiter and Saturn. So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have for you this year. I mean, Geminis, you're not going to have a rough year. I would just say, stay out of your head. This is that year, just really let the higher spirits talk to you. Let your higher conscious talk to you. Don't fight it. If you're too into your head, I mean, it's gonna create more anxiety for you this year, especially when it comes to your career, and to anything that you want out of life. So, but enjoy good sex. Enjoy any transformations. Don't resist it. You'll be fine, Geminis. I trust in you. So that's enough for me. Of course, you'll see more of me later. Ciao.